Right guys, welcome to session. My name's Paul, this is Plan Z, and this is like a part 2 of follow-up from the last video where we took 3 GT1000 amps and a V4 Sheriff and we put them into one patch. And if you didn't see that video, I'll link it below in the description. But before we get to this area here, let's just have a little look at how things are routed. So the amps come through here and they hit a divide at the end of my chain here where the A channel goes off to my main outs. Now my main outs are set to line out, and here I just turn the mic level to 0 and I put the direct mix up to full. And I do that on both sides and I separate it, and my left side and my right side are going off to a pair of 2 notes cab M where I've got the Browny back 412s in an EL34 lined up for our lovely ears. Now in the wet channel, so this is where my reverbs and things go, let's engage that channel. This goes out to my sub outs where I have this set to recording, so I can actually set this up as a wet dry in here, disengage, bypass 2 notes and do like a regular patch out of my sub outs using GT cabs. And here we're set to a 412. We've got the mic flat because I want the reverbs to be the same each side. We've got the distance the same on each side as medium, and we're in the middle on both. We've got the mic level on this one up because we want the cabinet, and we've got the direct mix all the way off, so the total opposite as to what's happening on the other output. So let's disengage that for a moment. And here, just to recap, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be copying this patch and saving it as a stereo patch where we can use it dynamically. Now if you use a looper, if you're a guitarist that uses a looper, this could be of interest. So you know, if you've got like a single track stereo looper, this could be fun. What we're going to do is we've got our first divide here at the front of the chain. We go into the V4 Sheriff there. So when I hit this button here and it goes green, this is the Sheriff. So let me bring up my neck pickup. I'm going to put the gain pot on about 8. So that's the V4 Sheriff. Now when I engage the next one here, whatever's indicated here is what is engaged. So the way to think about this is this button is switching between these 2 amps, these 2 physical amps. This is switching to that amp and then the A amp. And this one only works when this is red. So this one is then changing this amp from a boutique. So that's my boutique. And when I hit the button, we're now on an orange. Okay, so I've changed it from the other session. So what we're going to do is, now we understand that, let's save this patch. I don't think I made any changes then, but let's save it to the patch above it. So we're going to go to bank 33.5, change the end of the name to ST, it tells me it's a stereo patch, and then we're going to convert it. So let's save it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go in and just have a look at the assign. So let's understand what that means. So we hit menu, we go into the control assign. Let me just turn my volume pot down. We hit control assign, and in here we can get to different things. We're going to be changing LED colors in a little minute. You can get into your MIDI here, but we're going to be focused on these 2 here, control function and assign setting. They're basically the same thing, guys. Try not to let it confuse you. When you click into here, you've basically got a different layout, but the same kind of functions, just not as complex. Okay, so this is the simple one. If you want to make some easy assigns, you come in here, but if you want to get deep, you go into the other one. You can use both. So we're going to use both. So here, by turning this button, you scroll up and down these lines, and when I'm on this part here, it's telling me that I'm kind of getting to these buttons. So here I can see I've got that turned off because I know I've got an effect on there. We're going to turn that off in a minute. And here I want to use this button in this patch, so I'm going to click in on there and I'm going to hold in the button and scroll all the way down towards the end till I hit divides. Now in here you can make some simple things with only this with the divide. I know I want to work with divide 2 and mixer 2, so I'm just going to change this parameter so it's now selecting A to B. Okay, so that's A to B on the divider 2. So I'm now going to come out of there, back into my assigns, and here we're going to go into, we were just in there, we're now going to go into the assign setting. Now I cover this in brief throughout my videos, but essentially in this patch we've got all the amp1 assign settings, so everything associated with this button, so the gain changes, the amp type changes down here, and then you've got all the amp there. But what I want to do is I just want to very quickly turn off a bunch of assigns that I'm not going to use in this patch. So I'm going to turn off the high damp for the reverb. I'm going to turn off effects 1 and these 2 reverbs here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the first assign. We've already done the left right to here, so let's make this one go left to right. So let's engage that again, and we're going to push in and scroll all the way down to divides. So we want this one to deal with the mixer. First one that we did in the other page, we dealt with the divide, but now we're dealing with the mixer, and we want mode, because we want it to change to left right. So when it comes up stereo and then left right, but I want them both to be left right. I'll show you why in a moment. I'm just going to change this to number 3, and it's on toggle already. Lovely. So now this, we've made the 2 assigns for it. This should just take my channel. Let's go to a calmer amp. When I hit this button now, it's got me in the Plexi in here, and now I'm on the Sheriff, not the Sheriff, the Boutique, or the Orange. Okay, so but now we're kind of stuck there. So what we need to do is put this button here to help us do 2 other functions. So we're going to go back into the assigns and then down to where we got these 2 together, turn them back on, and we're going to go to where the divides are, which is just after reverb. We want divider 2 mode. We're going to go single to dual. Let's put it on number, so we just in this one using this button, we scroll along until we get to the number we want, and we want number 2, and we want to put it on toggle. Let's put this on toggle as well, number 2. And then this one, we want to deal with the mixer for that. So we're going to go down to where the mixer is, just after the divides. Boom, mode. We want to go stereo to left right. Now remember in the other one we made them both left right, but in this one we want to leave it just as it is as it comes up. So what we're going to do now is just come back out of there, press exit, and I'm just going to change the light so I can see what I'm about to do. So I'm going to go to this button here, and what this is the 2 different rows. Okay, so I'm going to come down to this row here, and when this is on I want it to be red, and when it's off I want it to be green. Clicking on it until it, and then scroll until you hit the color you want, and then the next one I'm going to do the same thing. I want it to be green and then red when it's on. So now what we should have, when we look at here, that's red and that's the Plexi, goes to the right, green goes to the left. This one, when I press it, takes us into both. So we've got the Plexi on the right and, let's say, either the Boutique or the Orange. Now we could have, for example, here, if we didn't change that, let's say we left it as stereo, we could blend these amps. So that's the Orange and the Plexi, and that's the Boutique and the Plexi. That sounds quite good. But let's say we wanted, I don't know, let's say we like the top end of, let's use the low pass filter on the Boutique, and we'll use a frequency at 500, and then we use the arrow button. We're going to scroll across here, so we're now in dual mode. We've got the dynamic off, but we turn the filter on. I'm turning the filter on the next page, and we want a high pass filter. So you've got low pass, high pass, and we're going to have the filter point at the same place. And now we should have the high part of the Plexi and the low part of the Boutique. And here we've got control over the mix. So let's turn. This is just all the Boutique. So everything below 500 Hertz. And this is everything above 500 on the other amp. When we put them together, when they met, it was murder. So I would probably want to set the sag so they were a bit similar there. But yeah, so that's what we could do. But let's go back to what we were doing. Let's change that back to the left, right. Let's turn those filters off. We're going to dive deeper into this and the dynamics, because although here you got a dynamic, this polarity isn't for phase, this is for picking filters, so we'll get deeper into that as we go through these sessions. So let's just, we've got both amps there, and now we're just on the Boutique. Now for example, let's say we wanted to take a loop using the Plexi, and then we clicked back up the middle. This is going to, when it lands back up the middle, it's going to land on that left assigned amp. Doesn't matter what's happening here, this is overriding that. So I'm back up the middle on the Plexi. So if you wanted to come back in, out from whatever you did on the Plexi, you could do that. But if you didn't, you want to hit that to green and hit that. So when they're both green, you're landing. So these are making the sense that I discussed with you earlier. I hope that made sense to you. I find it quite hard to kind of explain this stuff. Yeah, kind of easier if it was a live session. You could kind of ask questions as we go along, and I could make it clearer. It's difficult when I know, 80% of the people that are seeing my videos are from countries that are not English speaking, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. So what we're going to do now is, we've done that. Let's just turn off the things that are here, deal with the wet channel. Let's just change this from the shimmer to, let's go plate. Let's make sure we're 100% wet, so turning all the direct mix out. Let's just check a few things here, bringing the high damp up, doing my high cut now to 2K, bringing a low cut up to 315, leaving the pre-delay on 125, bringing the level right down though. Let's start with 20-ish, somewhere in the middle, and let's bring this tone up. Okay, cool. So let's leave that like that for the moment. And then what we'll do is, let's try building up a loop now. So what we're going to do is just pull the camera back so you can see a bit more of the picture. Now if the audio goes funny, I'll do this next part as a separate video. So I've got the camera up to about there. Hopefully I can't see properly, but I think you should still be able to see GT1000. You should be able to see the V4 Sheriff and now the two notes. So what's happening is the main outs, as I discussed earlier, go out to the two notes, and then two notes go directly to the mixer, which go to the loopers, and then those loopers go off to my main front of house mixer, where I've got a USB connection to the phone. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start a jam. Let's start in the left ear, maybe. Yeah, okay. Let's try the orange over there. Let's see what happens. So. Take a loop of that. Okay, we've got that one in, so now let's go to the Plexi. Just going to put the reverb on. On the next round I'll start taking a loop. Okay, so now if I double click, I'm coming right back up in the middle. I'm just going to go to the boot. Let's go to the V4. Let's go high gain. Let's boost that. It's just a clean boost clone. Plexi. Right, so I've just gone to the patch we originally built, which is like a mono patch, where we've got that intense reverb. Okay, what we're going to do is before we head off, we're just going to drop tune. That'll do. Let's go back to the stereo patch. What we're going to do this time is we're going to stick a fuzz on. We're going to go to the boutique amp. We're going to change the loop, so we've got the same beat but a different bass line. Let's go. Right here, stick on the plug. So I think I want to turn that drive off. Yeah. Try that. Okay, so if you're a guitarist in a band and you've got a looper, a stereo looper, look what you can do with just 2 patches. One patch, that last one was just one patch, got the stereo, boom. They could be any amps in here, or any amps that you put in here for cable method with a combination of other amps. It's crazy. And once you start mixing it, I like using hardware, not software, so I use 2 notes rather than, I don't like having to, computers and me, I don't like all that business they go on. You can't get into a flow. Here I can just get into a flow, start creating, easy peasy. Get hands on with your unit, people. I think you'll have a great experience with it. I'd like to try and encourage that. I'm going to say goodbye. Take care. Bye bye.